Hello, hello. How's it going? Just setting up shop here. Give me a second. Hello, hello. Hey, Jacqueline. Lisa. So super excited for this call. I feel like we just have to give it a minute to have everyone jump on. Hi, honey. So, so cool, Jacqueline. So this call is at a different time than what we're used to. Usually it's 9 p.m. Eastern. So I think we're all going to be at a different energy today. Like 8 o'clock, I'm a very different person than I am at 9 o'clock. Like, I don't know about you guys, but much better, much more present, much more ready to take the action, especially towards the end of the week. So today on this call, I'm so super excited because we have Lisa jumping on to talk to us about angels and intuition and how to tap into that message. Lisa is one of my Badass Business Babe Academy students, so I'm really super pumped about this. She is just an amazing human being with an amazing gift. Forgive me, my alarm's going off telling me to get on this call. So I'm really excited to learn a lot from this as well. I think this is going to be really eye-opening for me. And I know throughout this journey, I'm going to be asking Lisa a ton of questions just because I'm curious. And then at the end of the call, we can tap in and also ask Lisa if there's anybody on the line who does need some help. So just a FYI, today I am diffusing clary sage and blue tansy. So clary sage is the oil of clarity and vision, and blue tansy is the oil of inspired action. So I looked in the back of my emotional essential oils book and I asked myself, what is good for tapping into that intuition, for heightening those senses? And these were the two oils that came up. So if you're ever struggling with getting your intuitive hit, just put these two in the diffuser. I don't know why, but blue tansy smells like, to me, it smells like my grandma's meat sauce, and I don't know why, because it's a really weird, but I think there's some resistance around that for me, so I'm going to definitely be doing some work myself. So I got those two going, so ready, so excited, and I love how intimate this call is. There's just a few of us. Okay, so Lisa, hey girl, hey, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Why don't we start by just having you share a little bit about what it is that you do, your gifts, your talents, and where you are right now.
Okay, so I'm Lisa Gober. I've been a psychic for 24 years, and I've been working with angels primarily for, I want to say, like 22 years. They came to me when I was 17 and started talking through a student I was skipping school with. So that was a pretty weird experience, but it was a full body channel. This girl went into a completely voice change everything. So it was very odd. And they told me it was time for me to start talking with them and working with them. So like, all right, so basically, I self-taught. There really wasn't, the New Age, everything you see these days with spirituality and New Age wasn't like that back then. You couldn't hardly find a little tiny section at the bookstore about it. So I was, pretty much on my own. But self-taught myself over the years how to communicate, and I've been doing readings ever since. I forgot what else you told me to tell people about myself. But anyway, so I've been through a long journey of life, and here I am all these years later, and they came back around early last year and basically told me stop doing everything I was doing and start concentrating on them more, and teaching other people how to communicate with them, and teaching, as I've told you before, Lauren, teaching light workers how to be light workers and start preparing people for whatever shifts are coming our way.
So cool. So the biggest question that I get asked, and I even question sometimes, is like, do you believe that anybody has the ability to tap into these gifts?
Yeah.
Are these, you do? Okay. So the ability to connect with your higher self, or the ability to connect with angels, it's something that we all have the ability to do.
Yeah, intuition. And this is something I've been working on, with a program in my business right now, as you know. Intuition is something that's built into all of us. And it's our internal guidance system. And trust me, the angels and the spirit guides, they know how to use it to communicate with us, because we don't listen. We're too much in our ego and fear, and we don't pay attention. So they use it a lot to try and guide us. That's one of the best methods that really works for them to get through.
So when you
message across.
So when you feel an intuitive hit, or just like this random inkling to do something, or whether it's, in your business or in your personal life, is that always what you feel to be the angels trying to work through you, trying to deliver that message to you?
Well, it's not always, but your intuition, once you trust it, that's definitely them. It takes a lot to get, our fear and our self-confidence up there, because whether you put yourself out there as a really self-confident person, when it comes down to it and you're trusting your gut, you might not be quite so confident. But they use a variety of methods to communicate with us. From anything from talking to us like I'm talking to you, to sending you pictures, sending you, the gut feeling, talking to us in our dreams, whatever way they can get through. They send us symbols, they send us feathers, they send us, I forgot what I'm trying to say. Like when those moments where you feel like I've been here before,
Yes, deja vu.
Yeah, deja vu. Thank you. They send us all kinds of little signs all the time. We just rarely pay attention, or we're like, oh yeah, that means nothing, so.
Yeah. So what do you see as the biggest problem when we talk about like why people don't listen? I think when we go on this call, I would love to start with that intuition, because I think when we talk about learning how to communicate with our angels, I think the first part starts from within, right? Being able to connect with yourself. So it would be great. Let's start the conversation there and just kind of dive in. So what are the biggest obstacles or blocks that we face around learning how to trust our intuition?
It's fear. It's the same kind of fear that you have that blocks you when you're doing any kind of law of attraction work or manifesting work. It's the thoughts and the energy and everything running around your head that's kind of clouding your being able to get in that vibration. So when we're worrying and we're thinking about the 27,000 things to do, we're not listening to our gut.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention to how you feel about something so much as like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get the kids, I got to go to the grocery store. So you're blocking all that out. And that's the same thing you're doing when you're manifesting. It's all like the same kind of, it's all wrapped up together. So when you're manifesting and you're like, I need $1,000, but you're like, oh, and I got to do this and I got to do that, you're not really in that vibration, right? So it's exactly the same. So you got to really clear that out. You really have to journal a lot of that out. And I can't express that enough. People don't want to sit and write this stuff out. You have to journal. You have to actually physically write this stuff down, get it out. That's how you physically remove it from your body and from your mind, is by physically the act of writing it out.
Yeah.
That ritual of getting it out gets it out. So that way it clears your energy, it clears your mind, so that you can really just sit back and see how you feel. And it's in the feeling. It's in the feeling. So that gut feeling you have when you're walking down the street and there's a dark alleyway and you feel like, I don't think I should go down there, or you can go the other way that maybe is not so much also lit, but hey, it feels better. That's your intuition guiding you. It's telling you which way is safer, right?
Yeah.
So you trust it because you're like, okay, that feels less scary. Well, you say it feels less scary. Why does it feel less scary? Because you're being guided. That's, that's your guidance. So that's your intuition.
I love that analogy because like that is something that we can all relate to. Like even if it's like walking to the car when it's really dark, right? And like walking in the sunlight or the daylight or the light that's coming from the building versus the shadowy part of the street, right? I've
Sure.
done that so many times where I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Let me move over here. Let me do it this way.
Well, and
Um,
we do it all the time. I mean, when we meet new people, we're feeling them out. We're feeling how do they feel, you know, or we're like, should I trust this person? Should I not trust this person? I mean, whether you think about it or not, you're evaluating them by how you feel about them. That's your
yeah.
intuition. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of the times that's our angels talking to us. And a lot of the time, as far as, you know, we were talking about blocking it, as far as how we block it is because let's say you get a job offer. Let's say you get two job offers and one feels really good and then the other one maybe pays a little bit more, but you kind of feel really good about this one, but this one pays a little bit more, right? So you're like, I should go with the one that pays more. So maybe you do that, but you really should have went with the one that felt really good
Mhm.
because that's you're being guided, you know, but you went with your head and your fear. So that's just an example of how our fear gets in our way.
That's awesome. I love that you say that because I see so many girls in the business setting where they're designing programs and they don't think about if they have all these different ideas for their programs. Many girls will go, well, which one should I do, right? Because they're up here versus
Exactly.
well, which one do I feel emotionally connected to right now? Which one lights me up? Meg knows this. We were having this conversation on our one-on-one coaching call this week. Like, I don't care what you think you're supposed to do. What program feels the best?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
so
exactly.
that's super cool. I got just a hit in the middle of us talking about this about well, okay, so we recognize that intuition can sometimes get blocked by the millions of thoughts that we have or the ego. But what about the people in our life? Like if we have negative people or low vibe situations in our physical setting, how can that affect our ability to connect?
Oh, definitely. Well, and that, you know, that comes, it all boils down to how you feel about yourself and your insecurities and your confidence level of how you feel. You know, when it's other people affecting it, it's, it's mostly, in my opinion, and from what I found with my clients I've dealt with over the years, and including myself, it's because you're letting this influence you. You know, you're letting someone's negativity really influence how you feel and how you're connecting, and it comes down to yourself, um, as far as your confidence and your abilities and to trust your intuition. But also, you know, there are those of us who are more of an empath than others, and if someone on here doesn't know what empaths are, we're very, very sensitive to energy in the universe, other people's energy. You know, you'll most likely recognize yourself as someone when you go out in a crowd and you get really tired, or you're just like, you need to be alone, you can't stand it. That's an empath. So an empath, like myself, we tend to pick up energy really easily, and negative energy and negative spaces as well. So the best thing for us to do is to really kind of shield ourselves with like a white light, some kind of shield energetically that nothing but love can get in.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, you know, blocking all of that negativity. And you know, there's even, you know, ways you can put your fingers together that actually work, that block the energy. Yeah,
What is this? Tell me.
fingertips, it just kind of creates a boundary.
Well, like
So,
when I go like this, I can feel like the heat or the energetic in between the two of these, right?
yeah,
Or
that's like your chi, that's your self energy.
yeah. So like
That's very healing. But this kind of just it just kind of creates like a boundary. You know, the best way to test this if you're out in a crowd, or for me, I'm in New York City, so if I get on the subway and I put my fingers together, I immediately feel protected. I feel better because I've created like a just an instant little shield.
this is cool. So there's oh my God, pranic healing deals with the energy in between the two spaces, right? And so if we go like, I know for me, like if I go like this and it's open, I can feel like I'm holding something. If I keep my hands there long enough, you could feel like an energetic something
Oh,
going on there and then bringing it together. That's so cool. I love that.
yeah. There's many. I mean, there's lots of ways to interpret the energy. I went to a Chinese massage school, so it's, you know, interpreted as our chi and our healing energy we
Yeah.
use. But But and it's cool because you can really feel the energy, like the kind of energy we all have that you can't see, but you can feel it, you know, when you have your hands like that. But to kind of lock everything in is just keeps you centered and keeps everyone out. And it really does work. It's just a little.
I love this. This is awesome. So, okay, so we have a lot of girls here who are in business, really hungry to grow, thrive, and create that abundance in their lives. So, how can we step into knowing that we're safe with our intuition as a skill? Like, what would you say would be some of the little things that we have to start practicing or implementing to grow that confidence, but also to connect to our higher self on a regular basis?
Well, first of all, every day, if you're not doing it already, you should be journaling. And some people are even intimidated by saying journaling. They're like, what's journaling? I don't know how to journal. Get some paper out and a pen and start writing. That's as easy as it is. Write out your thoughts. If you got 10 million thoughts, it doesn't have to be positive or negative. But if you constantly in your head, write them out, clear your head, write everything going on up there, get it out on paper, just so you can focus. And then one thing I like to do is just, especially when I'm in a more of a frantic state and I really want to, you can breathe. Just breathe. I don't call it meditation because people get intimidated by meditation too, but just breathe. You breathe in for a count of 4 through your nose, hold it for a count of 4, and breathe out for a count of 4. When you breathe out, really blow it out, like really get it out. That kind of releases that pent up energy, and try to relax and try to just breathe and feel and feel and feel. So, you know, if you're starting the day and you're like, you need to know, you know, if certain something's going to happen today, or is it going to be a good day even, or you're trying to make some decision, you can breathe and relax and ask yourself, you know, okay, this is a situation, and see how you feel about it. And that's the only way, like, to start trusting it. Because you think, well, this is just me, I'm trusting myself. Well, I'm telling you, with the angels, this is like the number one easiest way for them to really get through to you, to influence you. Okay, your gut, your built-in intuition is not going to lead you wrong. It's not. So that's building that trust. That's yourself, building that self-confidence in your gut, in yourself, is so important in all of our decisions, because we use it all the time. Whether you realize it or not, you are always going by your gut. So whether you ignore it or not, it's always guiding you, and it's always right. So try to connect with it, try to feel things out. And you can maybe try and test it on something small. I haven't actually talked about that with my angels, so that's at least the idea. But just learning how to sit with it and feel and trust, you know, and know how you feel about something, and that's the most important thing you can do as far as connecting with angels. But the thing about angels is they are always, always, always with us. Always. You're never alone, ever. They're constantly with us. They're constantly whispering in our ear. Now, sure, they are not going to step in to help us unless you ask for it specifically. They don't step on free will ever. But they're trying to guide us, you know, still trying to give us pointers. Maybe you want to go that way. Nah, you shouldn't go that way. But they really can't, like, change anything, because they want us to learn and grow, right? So they're always with us. They're always sending us signs. I think someone posted a little bit ago that they saw a feather today. They're always they love to send feathers because we associate it with angels. So they're like, oh, everyone knows a feather's an angel, we'll send feathers. You can ask for a specific sign. You can say, you know, can you send me a purple elephant with green stripes? And you just, the same way you would do law of attraction, you put it out there and just be like, let it go. Don't think about it. Don't look for it. Just put it out there to the angels. Send me a sign you're around. You'll see it. You'll see it. I've never had a client not see their symbols.
There was a question earlier about journaling. I just want to go back to about, can you do that? Does it just have to be written by hand, or can you do it in the computer typing?
Yeah, I know for some people. I have one client that she just wasn't good at using her hands to write. She just wasn't, I mean, I know that sounded really weird how I worded that. Sorry about that. She wasn't good at writing. So she did everything by the computer. She felt more comfortable. So yes, you can. I find if you're in a particularly stressful situation or going through something emotional, handwriting it is a little bit better because the physical act of doing it plus there's just something about it that makes it a little more raw. When you're trying to really remove emotional trauma. So in that instance, I would handwrite it, but it doesn't have to be legible. It doesn't have to be spell checked. It doesn't have to make sense. It's literally journaling out some things, especially traumas. Journaling out anything really is the act of getting it out. So you don't really need to be able to read it.
Yeah.
You just need to get it out.
So Megan had asked, Meg wanted to know, do you ever do Q&A with your intuition? Do you ever ask specifically? And I'm sure, Megan, do you want to elaborate? Can I call on you for that question? Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I guess, so with journaling specifically, I think that would be a time where it would be really powerful to ask a question to your intuition. But even in just the day-to-day as you're going about things, throughout your life, are you able to have that Q&A sort of conversation with your intuition throughout the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no reason why you can't. I check, like I said before, whether you realize you use it or not, you're checking in with that gut feeling all the time, all the time. So absolutely, you can always check in and see, if you're going in the right decision or if you're thinking the right thing yeah, absolutely.
I guess how do you know it's your intuition? Because sometimes I feel like it's my ego.
Well, this is first of all, it takes practice. It does. It takes a lot of practice. I have a whole coaching program built around this because it takes practice. It takes some work, but you really, when it comes down to it, because your ego is always going to be some kind of fear-based feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be some kind of fear-based feeling. You'll have a sense about it along with it, whether it brings anxiety or sadness or something. There's something that's gonna a little more negative towards it, whereas your intuition or your angels is always with love. Even if it's not quite what you want to hear, it's gonna be with love.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets really, when it gets down to it, that's the best way to know.
Mm-hmm.
But it just takes a lot of practice. And that's why it's good too. It's good to practice. It's good to keep using it, because the more you use that intuition, the more you go by that gut feeling, the more you're going to see that you're being led to the right decisions and making, doing the right thing and on the right path. And you're going to feel more confident and you're going to be like, yeah, I got this. So.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, can I call on you too, Lauren? Can I ask, where are you? Because Lauren's been asking some questions too about angels and how to hear them. So go ahead, Lauren. Why don't you share with Lisa what you've been asking?
Okay, so I think you might. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you might have answered it. Basically, I said, so you can hear, when you hear angels, it's your your answering voice or your intuition, or do you hear a distinct, different type of voice? I was just wondering how you hear them.
I hear them in all I have all those clear audio, all the clairs.
Yeah.
So when I started channeling angels, they would say my name out loud when there's no one in the room, and they would say. So
does it sound like there's somebody actually with you, but they're physically just not there?
Yes.
I love that.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. That is so cool.
First of all, they will never purposely scare you guys. So don't be afraid that if you start following your intuition, all of a sudden there's going to be some guy next to you, just
I know
talking.
that seriously was my fear. I always wanted to hear that. And then I was like, I always feel like when I walk out of my bedroom, I feel in the middle of the night, there's always going to be this man standing in my living room. So I wonder if there's actually somebody there. And I was like, I would love to hear that, but the thought of seeing someone, I might be like, get the hell out of my house. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, no, that's,
My window.
that would be scary. And as someone, I've seen ghosts and stuff, and I've been in haunted places. So, I've seen physical manifestations.
Not all angels.
No, no. There's a difference. Well, first of all, never be afraid, ever. That goes into a whole deeper lesson. Yeah, you can do that, but never be afraid of any ghost, any negative entity. Trust me, they are not more powerful than you. They want you to think they are.
Oh, I know. I've watched plenty of those.
Yeah, so for anyone else who's like, oh my God, no, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid ever. Angels, what am I trying to say? When they talk to you out loud, it's either they will basically say your name, or you'll hear bells, just because, and it'll be in a very gentle, loving way, because they're angels. Angels are 100% pure divine. They're not, they have no egos. They're not human. They're 100% divine, loving energy. So everything that they say to you, or feelings they give you, will always be with love and support, and it's never going to be fear or ego or negative. So
I see constantly repeating numbers.
Yeah.
And I've always asked for signs. I love the idea. I always feel like I need guidance, and I think it's because we really are guided. So we're used to wanting that reassurance or someone to let you know which way to go. I feel like, as personally for me, I always feel like a child to something.
Oh yeah, no, they're always with us. They're with all of us. We all have at least 6 or 7 angels with us, and they're right there. It's not like you have to contact them to get them to come. They're basically right there. You're like, hey guys, I need help. They're right there.
What about people who have passed on though?
Yes, I was just gonna ask
and
that.
we're
Are they your angels?
People, okay. This is where it does get confusing.
I'm loving this open dialogue, by the way, guys. This is so cool. This is the best call ever.
Well, it's funny.
Right back. I'll be right back.
I'll just go into it. Okay. So angels are, like we said, they're 100% divine energy, straight from source, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. So that's angels. Now, we also have spirit guides. Okay, spirit guides, we all have at least one. Some people have more. I recently met a woman who, because of her heritage, has a whole tribe of spirit guides, and I've never seen that before. So it was pretty shocking to me, because most people just have one. We all have 6 to 7 angels. Okay, sometimes a little more, some maybe 1 or 2 less. So the spirit guides used to be human. Okay, they've been passed on in our concept of time. We created time. Humans created time. Time doesn't exist over there. We created time. So in our concept of time, they've been passed on for at least 100 years. Okay, spirit guides. The reason it's been so long is because when they passed on, they needed to go through a certain amount of training, because they still had ego. So that they could come and guide us. Now, where was I going to go with that? So they need to go through the training to get rid of that ego, so that they can properly guide us. Now, the passed over relatives, okay, they're still with us too. Okay, they're not officially spirit guide. They can't be an angel. They could have been an earth angel. I'm an earth angel. Lauren's an earth angel. They could have been an earth angel. That's a little different. But when they pass on, they still have their ego. They haven't really moved forward yet. A lot of our loved ones, in fact, most of them, like to kind of stick around us. They want to make sure we're okay. They want to see how things turn out. So they're still around, and they're trying to guide us as well. But they have ego. So if your mother, passes on, and she was overly protective of you, and you're dating guys, and she was, you know, she might be passing on advice that the angels and spirit guides are like, oh, you know, you know, they wouldn't have this judgment. They want you to learn, you know, and your mom's like, oh, you know, stay away from that guy. And the angels are like, no, they should need this lesson. So, I mean, I'm not saying it would be a bad situation, but you know what I mean. So, you know, our passed on relatives still have their ego, and they're still going through whatever rehabilitation they go through when we pass on. When we pass on, we have to go through, it's like school. We're going back to school. We get rehab because being human is so traumatic. It's really traumatic. I think everyone can agree with that. And so when we get over there, we got a lot of stuff to release and go through just to get to a point to figure out what we want to do next. If we want to come back and experience more, or do we want to stay over there and maybe work to become a spirit guide? You know, the much as the choices here on earth are for us to create whatever we want to be, do, and have, it's the same on the other side.
What would you, just if you could explain to all of us what an earth angel is, because you said that I'm one, and I would like to know what that means. So maybe you could tell us.
I'll tell you, there's a whole story around this I'm not going to get into, but
sure.
Because it's too much and it's slightly controversial. But anyway, so the reason, oh, that's what I was going to say earlier. The reason we have spirit guides and angels is spirit guides have the experience of being human. Okay, so they go through the training to let go of the ego, but they still have the experience of being human. So they're really good with especially emotional and mental support, whereas angels are more situational, but they're still everything. Don't get me wrong by any means, but angels have never been human. So some of the stuff like time, for instance, so the classifications, even the classifications we put angels into, like this type of angel does this and this and that, they don't have that. That's our thing to try and explain them. They don't do all that. So they're 100% judgment free. So don't ever feel like you can ask a spirit guide or an angel too much for help. So, because they don't judge us ever, period. Now, earth angels. So when well, I don't want to get into the whole story, it's way too much, but when we were created, the angels were created, and before humans were created, earth angels were created, because the universe basically has created all these entities, including us, to experience itself through. So this is for the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, to experience life, right? So earth angels were created after angels, because angels were created with 100% divine. They are basically an extension of the universe of God. Earth angels are like angels with ego. That's what an earth angel is. So it's like kind of half human, half angel. And some of us have been around a really, 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 really long time. But they're, sometimes they're born, and it's happening more and more now, where kids are they're being born knowing their divinity. These earth angels, it's coming out more and more. It's pretty cool, because light workers are rising right now in a big way. But a lot of us weren't born knowing it, so we had to go through a lot of experiences to get to the point we're at, so that we can better teach.
What are some of the signs of being an earth angel? What would somebody, like anybody on this call, to pay attention? What are some of those signs? That's
really broad, because there's many different types. We're a blend of many. Yeah. There's so many different types of earth angels. One of the biggest signs for people like you and me, Lauren, is we tend to lighten our hair. That's no joke. People are like, that's probably BS. No, it's true. We tend to lighten our hair because we ascend higher. That's one type of earth angel. There's a good handful. So I don't know if I can expand on that much more without going into all kinds of other spiritual entities that affect us.
That's so cool.
Including fairies.
I love it. I love it. So when you were 17 and you had this this encounter, I'm curious, like what was going through your mind? Like I can't even imagine trying to process something like that for the first time. Was it shocking? Was it safe? What was the feeling that you had?
Excited and nervous. I had already been playing around with ESP and doing psychic kind of, not really readings, but I was already into all that. I had my own tarot decks and Ouija board and all that. So when this happened, it was unnerving for sure because it was completely unexpected. But it was awesome too. I got really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't remember it. I know that, I remember she didn't remember any of it. She's like, did I just channel? And I'm like, yeah. But her voice changed, her whole demeanor changed.
Wow.
Yeah, as and I've done that before. You can do that. You can let the angel completely take over your body. And I've done it myself before, but it's not my preferred method. If you guys know Esther and Jerry Hicks, Esther lets Abraham take over. Yeah, that's full body channeling.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great analogy. Now I know exactly what you're talking about because I've seen and heard
her voice
through the
changes.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. And she acts a little different. She lets Abraham full body.
Yeah. That's so cool. So let's talk about manifesting because I think this is like something that so many of us are like wrapped up in, so interested on, but we hit these blocks or these doubts or these insecurities around whether or not we're doing it right, so to speak. So I'm just kind of wondering from you, what do you feel are the biggest things that we should be working on so that we can deepen our connection with receiving what we long for?
It's mostly faith and trust. We tend to worry about everything over and over and over, and you put out, I need this much money, or I want this house, or I want this outcome, and then you worry about it constantly. You're not manifesting it. It's about staying in the vibration and catching your thoughts every time you think about, oh, I hope I get that house. Just also think, oh, that's right, the universe is totally taking care of me. Why am I even worrying about it? And if it's not that house, it's going to be a much cooler one. So it's catching yourself. It's paying attention to every thought. And, it's paying attention to your feelings and how you feel about what you're manifesting. And I think you've even said it before, Lauren, if you don't really believe you can get, $1,000 or whatever by a certain day, then you won't.
Yeah.
You have to feel it. You have to know it.
I've run a couple of programs where, before I opened the program, I would say, okay, well, I'm going to have 30 women in this program, right? And I'd set that intention. But subconsciously, I was like, so at the selfish ego, I was like, yeah, 30, we're going to do it. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, can you really take care of 30 women at once? Like, can you actually, is that what? And I would never fill the program because I was letting that fear, and I never took out my journal to say why that was bullshit. I just kept letting it run the show, and I would always fill my programs to like 18 out of 30, and I'd be like, fuck, what is going on?
Yeah.
And it was my ego. Yeah.
That's it. But that's exactly the point you brought up, is journaling out the fear, journaling out that little blockage in the back of your head that pops up and says, oh, you can't really do that. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it will, but it probably won't, but it'd be cool if it did. Well, you need to journal that out and figure out why wouldn't it? Why do you feel like it wouldn't, and you need to ask yourself questions. So you need to ask yourself, is it because I don't feel worthy? Is it because I think people don't like me? And, am I not smart enough? Maybe my marketing's wrong. You have to actually write yourself these questions in your journal. And you'll know it's the right question because it's almost like a ping. It's like this little sense of a little bit of relief. Like, oh, and then you'll be like, okay, it's because I don't feel worthy. Why don't I feel worthy? You start asking that questions. Why don't I feel worthy? Is it because this happened? Is it because that happened? Whatever comes up in your head, question it.
I like this. It's going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of us have so many built up fears because we've pushed down all our emotions about situations, from years ago, from childhood.
Yeah.
So we keep pushing these things down on top of each other. And so you got to dig. And once you get to the core reason, most of the time it ends up being something from your childhood. When you get to the core event, the core conversation, or what you heard, or what your mom said, or, when you were spanked or punished, once you get to that and you recognize it, it's like this whole sense of relief. It's like that fear just kind of disappears. And it doesn't mean you're never going to have fears again. It just means that particular one's disappeared, and then it's on to the next because you're peeling back the layers.
Yeah.
And it's ongoing work. It's ongoing work, but it's so worth it once you start doing it.
Jenna wants to know.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm loving this call. This call's amazing. Jenna wants to know, why are empaths / witches / angels so doubtful and battle with money more?
It's because we're empaths. It's because we're picking up so much negative energy all the time from everywhere and everybody. And half the time, and I do it myself, like I said, I've been doing this for 24 years and I forget all the time, to maybe block myself, or that I could be picking up energy from, next door. We get bombarded with it. So that makes it a battle. But we also, when we're these types of light workers, witches, angels, empaths, that's usually people that are put into the category of light workers because we have these abilities, right? So we're put through situations, probably maybe even a little bit more so than others, so that we can learn how to get out of them and how to grow and ascend spiritually so that we can lead others. So we're put through a little bit more, but I mean, it's really our own fault because we all chose this before we came over, whether we want to admit that or not.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things, and we do have some time, guys, so just for the next 15 minutes, if you guys have any other questions, keep them coming, because this is beautiful. For me, like the first half of my life, the morning of my life, right, that was all about trying to do what I was supposed to do and having chaos.
Am I still on screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't, something happened, I can't see, so I don't know how to get back. There I am, okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I was just saying that in the beginning of my life, the morning of my life, I made all of these choices that really they made me miserable. I married somebody who was bad for me. I got, associated with friends that took advantage of me. I had rock bottom living. And when I came into my higher self, I had this fear around taking action and making choices, because all of the things I had chosen and decided to do in the past ended up hurting me. So I had a fear that, like, well, am I really making the right choice here? Am I really actually going to be able to do what I'm trying to do? Is this the right choice? Absolutely. And you lose that connection with your intuition because of what you experience in those early days where you're learning lessons, right?
Well, but that's also how you learn to grow and to come out of it. I mean, I went through a period of horrible self-hatred since I was 13. I was abused when I was younger. I've been homeless twice. And, I've been poverty for many, many years. So, I know, like, we have these lessons we have to go through to get to the point we're at now. And having to climb out of all this fear and all this place, it's not easy. It is work. Before I started doing this, and like I said, I was just told at the beginning of last year to really start taking this seriously by my angels. And I've been channeling for a long time. But, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I have student loan debt. I became a nutritional coach, all these things. And when they said that to me last year, that this was my path, I said, wait a minute, I'm like, I just went through all this stuff. I'm like, now you're telling me, I'm actually listening this time, but still it was kind of like, wait a second, I got, this, student loan debt and stuff. And they said to me, well, you weren't ready. Now you're ready because you have the tools. So sometimes we're put through these experiences and all this other stuff that we're like, well, it felt right then and I went for it. And why is it changing now? Because they want you to grow, because they want you to have the tools you need in order to keep on your path and live your purpose.
Absolutely.
And keep
Absolutely.
ascending. Our whole point in being here is to keep ascending and get to our higher selves.
Oh, I
And
love
those of
that.
us that don't get there in this lifetime, you will come back.
Yeah.
Because that's goal. You didn't make goal. You're gonna try again, and probably some different scenario. And
I
it's
know.
okay. It's not like a bad thing. This is fun. When you're on that side, and not here, it's not fun for us now. But when you're on that side, it's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna try this next time.
Yeah.
Here it can feel like, oh my God, this is torture. But it's supposed to be fun, and that's the whole part of getting to our higher selves.
I love that. Like when you said that, when you're like, oh, we ascend, I'm like, and you said some people will come back because they haven't learned lessons. I'm like, yeah, I think I know a couple of family members that like, they'll be back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like racking my brain. But yeah.
Sure. Everyone's on their own path.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their own learning path and journey. So, you might think, why is it that I'm the only one in my family that thinks this way and they're so negative or they're so this way, and why am I so different? It's just because we're all on our different learning path. That's all it is. And that's okay. Hopefully you can get to a point where you don't judge as much other people's past, even ones who have hurt you, because it's just it's all different experiences to try and get to your higher self, but everyone's in different stages. That's why there comes a point where you let go of friends. Maybe you stop talking to a family member, and you maybe you feel bad about it, but you don't want to be around them anymore. Or someone starts annoying you used to be really close with. It's because you're ascending faster than they are, and they're still down here, and you're coming up here, so you're kind of butting heads that way.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Where I think it was Meg had a question. She wanted to know, do you specifically do you hear other people's angels / spirit guides, or do you just use yours to like guide you?
When I'm doing readings, I will talk to the other angels, other spirit guides.
Oh,
It's to a point. I'm at a point where I don't like. When I started out channeling, I used to very much be like, okay, my angel Selena is here, and I'll talk to her, and then you got your angel Bob, and I'm going to talk to him. And now it's to a point where I don't really have to differentiate that word anymore. Like I just know, or I can hear the voice, and I know, it's angel, and I trust it. But I can do that if someone asks me to, what's the name of my angel? So I'll ask them, what's your name? So I can absolutely, or the spirit guide, or I'm a medium. I can talk to relatives and.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm gonna be hitting you up soon. We need to do this. I have so many questions. Okay, and then Paria had a question too. Where are you, girl?
Sorry, I just saw someone wrote, do you ever have to tell them to shush? Yes. Yes.
Really? Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you want to do something, and I know if you're not being divinely led, but there's something you want to do, and they're like, no, you should go do this now. And you're like, no, I really want to do this right now. And I know it's them, but I want to do this right now. Yeah. But they won't leave you alone. And you're like, come on, give me a break. So yes, it can be. And you're like, I'm going to do it. Just give me a few minutes. Because angels can be very demanding.
Yeah.
They're very demanding. Sorry. What was the other question?
Oh, Paria. Yeah, here you are, girl. Hey.
That's okay. Awesome. I love this session. Thank you so much. I learned I was reminded of a few things, because I learned a lot from this person. I used to go to her. She's a medium. And a lot of what you said is exactly what she has taught me. And one thing that I'd like to share with everyone that always stuck with me was, you know how you said you went through school and then you're like, what? Now I'm doing something different. And I wonder if this applies to this as well. So this is kind of like a question and information thing. She said, you can ask them to do things the way you want. So instead of putting you through all the shit this way, so for example, the example that she gave me was, she said she told her angels, and she put the intention out there that she wants to lose weight and stop eating so much crap, right? And then she went to the next door bakery thing, and she likes to go like Wednesdays or Thursdays and eat this like muffin that they have. she always ate that muffin, no problem. It was like a pumpkin or some kind of pumpkin or carrot thing. It was like the whole blend thing. One day she goes there, so she puts that intention out there. It's like right next to her office, her studio, and she gets severely sick. And she's like, what is this? Why am I getting sick? Like, I always have this. She asked her angels, and the angel said, you asked us for you to stop eating sugar and stuff, so we did it this way. And she's like, I didn't want it this way. So then they shifted it towards another thing. She said, I still want to eat that, just do it in another way. So then they shifted it, and she never got sick again. So can you do that with big stuff as well? Like, I don't want to go on a trip, or go on a trip, or things like that.
You can ask them. I mean, that's a great example of how, asking the angels to step in and help, does indeed work, where they won't step in on your free will, for sure. You can ask them. However, if it's something that's going to be pivotal, where it'll be a great lesson for you, for your growth, they probably won't shift it that much. They might make it a little easier. They might shift little aspects of it, but if it's something that's, related to, well, she does this, she's really going to grow, you know what, let's leave it. So yeah, it depends. But you can always ask, always, because they just might. They're always helping us and guiding us in whatever way they can, for sure. But they also want us to learn.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Yeah, because of free will, we have everything. Thank you.
Exactly. You're welcome.
I love that. Any of you other ladies have one that you want to ask that we haven't covered? Is there any topic or deep question? I think Lauren's thinking, Jenna's typing, so we'll just give it a minute. I love this call so much. It's
been fun. This is they love it when I talk about them.
It's great.
And they absolutely love it. So, the angels, like I was saying before, you can ask them anything, and you can ask them over and over if you want. They're not going to judge you for what you ask them. Yeah. They're not going to laugh at you unless you're laughing with them and it's funny to everyone. But they're never going to make fun of you or embarrass you or, trust me, they know everything. There's no reason to be shy. So you can always ask them for help in any situation, and they will do whatever they can.
Where is it? Let's see. Oh, Jenna had a question about mist. Jenna, can I call on you? Okay, cool. Hey, girl.
Hi. Okay, so I've been working on strengthening my intuition. I actually see a holistic doctor, and I have to be so careful even about consuming caffeine and random stuff, because she's like, you're so sensitive. People come to me in my dreams, weird stuff happens. It's not all the time, but so a month ago, I was driving on this back road, and I was kind of scared. It wasn't because it was dark. I just got this weird feeling. And I was like, I'm just in my own head, whatever. And so I'm driving, jamming out to some music, and this mist passed through my car, but I felt it. And I was like, what was that? So I immediately turned off the radio. I'm going 80 down a 4-year-old because I'm so scared. I'm I need to get out of here before I don't know. I just felt something bad was going to happen. So I called my best friend. I'm crying on the phone. I'm something bad's happening by here. She's like, what are you talking about? So 2 weeks later, maybe it was a week later, I was walking my dog. The same mist. It wasn't foggy. It's not coming from the ground. It was just this air that came. It was on my own space, passed through me. But at that time, it wasn't scary, or I didn't get a bad feeling. And so I was like, what is this? So I keep going back to the same area just to make sure I wasn't delusional. And I haven't seen it again, chasing this mist. But I just want to know if that was I don't know, a sign, or have you heard of that before?
I've never heard of it before, but it feels more like an earthbound. It might have been a past relative.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was weird. And that during that back road that I was on, I said that time, it was a bad feeling. It was something telling me, get out of here.
It might have been.
I felt really, and I was even there's this area I walk my dog. It's kind of far, and it's definitely woodsy, Vampire Diaries back there. But I don't get scared. I feel really safe there. And so when it happened again, I was very still too. It was I couldn't, not that I couldn't move, but I was in awe of it almost. And so I was what is this? I didn't research it or anything, but I was maybe I'll meet someone that would know.
Yeah, no, if that feels like a more passed on relative, earthbound, it doesn't feel like angel really to me.
Okay.
But nothing to worry about. It seems like someone just wanting your attention, and it seemed like, you know, in the state of mind you're in, and to them it felt like a good time to present themselves, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely wasn't like like I said, like a fog. It was nothing like I've seen before.
Just
You
like
know?
a mist.
It was just like like not even a perfect circle, just yeah. And then it just like went on, and then it just like went away. But it came when
Yeah.
like it came out of the woods is when I could see it more clearly. Because when I was driving, I was like, "What the hell is this?" You know, like there was nothing else anywhere, and so
Mhm.
it just kind of gave me
Yeah.
like heebie-jeebies. But
Yeah, no, if you see it again, don't be afraid.
yeah, I'm trying
I
not
don't.
to. Yeah, because I feel like I sense sometimes. I don't want to say like an entity, but if someone's in the house or something like this happened to me since I was younger, and I used to think like
Yeah.
I was like paranoid or like the Truman Show, like someone's watching me. But as I've gotten older and I've learned, I'll just like say like, "Hey, go away if you're making me feel uncomfortable," and I feel like
Yeah.
instantly better. So
Well, you're so sensitive, you know, they flock to you, like much like they used to do to me when I was much younger. They come to you because for people like us that are really sensitive to that side, it's like a neon sign over our heads, like, hey, I can see you, I can hear you, I can feel you. So they're like, hey, maybe this girl will listen to me or help me or talk to me or whatever. So yeah, they're just naturally attracted to us. But again, nothing ever to be afraid of. And you can always, if you get nervous, you can always ask for your angels to come protect you, and they will. They can guard every door, window of your house. They'll put light around your room, around your house, around your body, whatever. They can help take care of you. Michael in particular, Archangel Michael, if you have an earthbound spirit in your house, if you have a ghost, you know, bothering you, he can come remove it. You might have to, Archangel Michael.
Oh, Archangel Michael. Okay.
Yeah, he removes the earthbounds. So, real quick, I'll tell you, I had one in the last apartment I lived in. There was this earthbound ghost. There was a ghost, and it would never talk. It would never present itself with features, male, female. It wouldn't talk to me. And you know, I've been talking to these guys forever. It wouldn't talk to me. It just would stare. And it was all white, and it had a round hole for a mouth and round holes for eyes. And the only thing I could get from it was that it was kind of been gone, passed over for so long, it kind of forgot its humanity. Okay. So it didn't really appear with any kind of shape, right? So, I mean, it was to the point where even my roommate, who's a total non-believer, asked me one day, he's like, what is that thing staring at me? He goes, it peeks around the corner. And it was in the same place that this thing always hung out. It was always in this little tiny hallway we had. It never moved from there.
Oh my God, stop.
No, I was never afraid. The only time I actually said it was fine if you're here. I just, you know, I'm trying to help you out if you want to move over. But it never bothered anybody until one day I had a cat, and my cat freaked out and was hissing and freaking out at the door. I had the door closed, the bedroom door, and I opened it, and this thing was actually materializing, you know, in front of me. And the cat could see it too. And I waved my arms through it, and I said, oh, no, you don't. You're not, you know, I can see you, but you don't need to materialize and all that. So I waved my arms through it and said, oh, no. It went away. I asked Michael to come in. He took it out. A couple weeks later, it came back. I found its way back.
Oh my.
Michael came back with his team, cleared it out. He had to do it one more time. Took him 3 times because the entity just kept, you know, once it got loose, wherever they take them, it kind of just came back. Because it's where it's been probably for years and years and years, you know, could have been there for a couple hundred years. I don't know. So I just asked Michael again, please, he's back. You know, I don't know what it is. Can you take him back, see if we can rehabilitate this person? And he did it. He did it 3 times, and it was gone after that.
3 times.
So I mean, these entities, they tend to be attracted to us who can really sense them, and there's never any reason to be afraid of them. And, you know, a lot of the time they don't even realize they're dead. So there's nothing to be, it's just a person you can't see.
I went, when we were house shopping, we went and looked at a lot of homes that were vacant. They had been empty for a while. And there was one, like we walked in and I was like, nope, like we gotta go. It was just like the worst vibe. And it was a beautiful home, but it was like, I felt it. Like you could walk in and go, what is in here? Like it didn't feel good at all.
And that's using your intuition. That's our
Yeah.
whole topic of tonight's call. That's your intuition.
Yeah. Oh my
You know when
God.
something's off, you know.
Oh my God.
But
It's
never
so
be
cool.
afraid. I can't, people get so freaked out. Don't be afraid.
Because I went to Catholic school and I watched all those movies about like exorcisms and like it freaks me out. Like it does. It makes me really scared that like someone's gonna become possessed.
Well, it's funny. The only horror movies I actually like are like movies about ghosts and stuff. Because those actually, they freak me out even though I talk to these things all the time. No, there's nothing to be afraid of. And since we're talking about, fearful things, someone did mention, asked me about the Ouija board earlier. Yeah, it's a scary tool. It's a tool. Okay. Don't play it as a game. It can invite some negative things. I've been around people who have had negative things come out of Ouija boards we used to play with and follow them home and,
Oh my God.
and terrorize them. But don't play with them.
But let's go before we end the call. Let's like go back into the high vibe stuff. Like
Yes.
really, really cool. We talked about all this stuff. We had some fun, but like let's return home and let's like really just remember.
Well, I'll end the scary stuff with the angels are more powerful than anything. Okay, because they're an extension of the divine. Okay, the divine's all powerful. The divine, universe, God, whatever you call it, created us. It created everything, even the scary stuff. It created that. Okay, so the angels are an extension of that, which means they're more powerful than anything scary. So you can always call on your angels. Call on your angels. That's what they're here for. So they're always with us. They're always protecting us. And it's kind of fun when you ask them for comfort or protection, because they literally, especially when you need it, and sometimes maybe you can feel it when you're in maybe a sad state and you ask for comfort, they actually wrap their wings around you. And some of you might have picked that up a little bit, where you feel maybe just a sense of being held even though you're alone, or a sense of comfort. That's them. They can wrap their wings around you, and they've done it to me, and then they just hold you because they're protecting you. But they can there is an unlimited amount of angels. Okay, there's not like, oh, I've got 10 angels here, they're never going to give me more. They'll give you as many as you need to feel protected. They're always with us, and they can be 27 places at once. So it's not like, it's not like you're taking them away from some better use. Okay, that they're here for us. They're here to guide us and to help us.
It's beautiful. I love it, Lisa. So tell me, before we sign off, if any of these girls have follow-up questions or they want to connect with you or find out about your programs and services, how could they reach out to you directly?
Well, you can go to lisagober.com. And that's, LISAGOBER, and that's my website. And I have, the readings listed. If you like a reading, I have my Knowing Angels coaching program, which is everything we talked about. We go over all this information in much more depth. And it's, one-on-one coaching about developing your intuition, working on your personal blocks, manifesting. And we go into a lot of other spirits and entities that aren't mentioned on angel calls, because angels like to take over the entire call. They don't have ego, they just like to be talked about. So and you don't have to believe in all the other stuff, but I like to put it out there just in case, just for knowledge. So we go over all these things, and blocking negative entities and energies and moving through all that. So that's my Knowing Angels coaching program. I do have a couple more spaces I opened up for February right now. I am raising prices March 1st on that, so if that's something that interests you, please reach out. My email is Lisa Gober, LMT, that's LISAGOBER, LMT, @gmail. And
LMT, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, LMT at the end. And you're welcome to message me here on Facebook too.
Beautiful. Lisa, I love you so much. This was amazing. I love watching you stand in this. Oh, it was our pleasure. This was amazing.
It's fun. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say that I'm truly grateful to have someone of your expertise and knowledge be in our community, because it's beautiful to tap into that and to watch the girls on the call open up and ask these questions and have their opportunity to just share what they're curious about. And it's great because it's not in my wheelhouse, and it's so gorgeous to watch you come through there. So it was an honor for me. It was a pleasure. And
thank you.
Yeah.
It's very honored that you asked me to be here, and I so much appreciate it. I love you too. Thank you so much.
I will see you next week on Tuesday. I'll see all of you guys who are not in the Badass Business Behave Academy. I'll see all of you next week for our February dates. If you haven't looked, you can go to the pinned post in the Facebook group. There's a calendar so you can see all of the topics of the calls that we're going to be having way in advance. And calls are always at 9 p.m. Eastern, except for this one because it was a bonus. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Lisa. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.